Okay, let's talk about the invisible forces that are running our lives every single day. They're the things that tell you how to act, what to wear, and yeah, even how to stand in a line. We're going to get into the unwritten rules of our society.
Seriously, think about this for a second. There is no law anywhere that says you have to queue up for a coffee. No cop is going to arrest you for cutting in line, though, you might get some serious side-eye. So why do we all do it? Like almost everywhere in the world without even thinking about it.
Well, the answer is we are all following this powerful, invisible script. These aren't laws passed by politicians, but they are just as powerful, maybe even more so. They're called social norms. You can think of them as the silent grammar of our society, and today we are going to learn how to read them.
So, first things first, let's nail down what these powerful, unwritten rules actually are. I mean, they govern so much of what we do, from the totally mundane stuff to the biggest decisions of our lives. And most of the time, we don't even notice.
A social norm, at its core, is just an unwritten rule about how we're all expected to behave. It's something a group shares, and it just helps everything run a little smoother. It's like social glue, right? It's what lets us cooperate, whether it's something small like a handshake or a bigger deal like the shared understanding that, yeah, you probably shouldn't litter.
But here's where it gets interesting. Social norms aren't just one single thing. They actually come in two different flavors that work together to guide what we do. And understanding the difference between them is the key to seeing how this whole system works.
All right, first up, you've got descriptive norms. This one's easy. It's just what you actually see other people doing. So if you walk into a library and see everyone whispering, that's the descriptive norm. But then you have injunctive norms. This is what you believe other people approve or disapprove of. You might know that the official library rule is absolute silence, even if people are whispering. These two can work together, or sometimes they can be in a total tug-of-war.
And that brings us to a really important distinction. Social norms are enforced informally, through things like getting praise or feeling like you belong, or on the flip side, the fear of shame, gossip, or being left out. Legal norms, well, those are the official written down laws. You break one of those and you're dealing with the police or the courts. But honestly, a lot of the time, the fear of what people will think can be way more powerful than the fear of a speeding ticket.
So this begs a pretty big question. If these rules aren't written down in a book somewhere, how on earth do we all learn them? It's not like we get a manual when we're born. The answer is, we all have this incredibly powerful psychological tool that we're using all the time.
We learn them through a little something called social proof. It's our natural, built-in instinct to look at what other people are doing to figure out how we should be acting in any given situation. Think about it. When you start a new job, what's the first thing you do? You watch everyone else. You're looking to see when they take lunch, how they talk to the boss. You are gathering data and trying to crack the code.
We're all kind of like social detectives, constantly picking up clues. We watch what people are going out in public. We scan our environment. A park that's covered in graffiti sends a completely different message than one that's spotless. We pay extra close attention to people who are influential, those social reference, and this is a big one, we watch what happens when someone breaks a rule. Does everyone just ignore them, or is there a quick reaction? All this info helps us build a mental map of the unwritten rules.
And this just shows you how incredibly sensitive we are to these little cues. Some classic studies found that the environment itself tells you what's okay and what's not. In a super clean environment, if you see one person litter, it feels totally shocking. But if you're in a place that's already trashed, seeing that same person litter just reinforces the idea that, oh, I guess this is a place where people litter. That little cue changes everything.
So relying on these social cues works great most of the time. But what happens when we get our signals totally crossed? What happens when we completely misread what everyone else is thinking?
This leads to this absolutely fascinating and kind of bizarre phenomenon called pluralistic ignorance. This is a situation where most people in a group secretly, privately disagree with a norm, but they all go along with it because they have this mistaken belief that everyone else is on board with it. It's like a collective illusion where everyone is following a rule that basically nobody actually likes. The classic example of this is binge drinking on college campuses. A ton of research shows that many students are personally pretty uncomfortable with it. That's their private belief. But they look around at parties, see others drinking a lot, and make a false assumption. Well, I guess everyone else thinks this is cool and totally normal. And so what do? They join in, doing the very thing they don't like just to fit in, which of course just reinforces the exact same illusion for the next person. It's a vicious, self-perpetuating cycle.
So, if these harmful norms are often just built on a giant misunderstanding, then correcting that misunderstanding can be an incredibly powerful way to create change.
It's basically like turning on the lights in a dark room so everyone can see what's really going on.
And social scientists have a really elegant two-step approach for this. First, you have to diagnose the problem. You do surveys, you gather data, you find out what people actually believe, not what they're just pretending to believe. You find that gap between perception and reality. Then comes the intervention. You just share the real data with everyone. You reveal the truth of the situation.
And here's what that gap often looks like. Students might think that nearly everyone on campus binge drinks. That's the perception. But when you actually measure the behavior, you find the reality is much, much lower. Just showing people a simple chart like this can be a total game changer. So, a campaign might use a simple, powerful message just like this one. It's not preachy, it's not telling people what to do, it is just correcting the bad information. It gives students what psychologists call social permission to act on what they already believe. It basically says, hey, that feeling you have, you're not alone. In fact, you're actually in the majority.
And this isn't just a neat theory. This norm-correcting strategy has been used successfully to tackle a huge range of really important issues. By revealing the truth that most people do pay their taxes, that most people do support using less energy, or that most of their peers do intend to get vaccinated, these campaigns have shifted behavior by simply aligning our perceptions with what's really happening.
So, the next time you find yourself just going with the flow, maybe ask yourself, is this a rule we all actually believe in, or is it just one big collective misunderstanding? Because understanding these invisible rules doesn't just help us see the world more clearly, it actually gives us the power to change it. So what unwritten rule do you think we should tackle first?